Good morning and welcome in on this Monday morning. The sun is shining here in the UK, but it's really quite cold and it's quite blustery, and I could just hear little smatterings of a rain shower on the conservatory roof. But we're dry in here, and so welcome in, and it's lovely to see you if you are joining me. My name, in case you don't know, is Helen Jennings. I'm Stamping Up Demonstrator and I'm based here in the UK, fairly centrally in the UK. So, what are we going to have a play with today? I'm having a quick look because I'm tending to leave it fairly late before I decide for definite what I'm going to play with on these. Morning Lisa, morning Beryl, morning Hannah. I tend to leave it a little bit late before I decide what I'm going to play with on these mornings, just because we're sort of in this transition phase and I want to wait and see what is still available on the retiring list. And as I was flicking through this morning, I did notice... Good morning, Hannah. I had a fine weekend, thank you. And good morning, Caroline. I did notice that although some of the Bird Ballad bundles and things are selling out, this entire Bird Ballad Suite is still available, and I thought, oh, how lovely, let's have a play with that, because the stamp set and the dies are both carrying over, but not everything in the bundle is. And there's some, this is just such a gorgeous bundle that it may be one that you want to get while you're still able to get all the different elements in it. So what are all the different elements in it? First of all, you've got the Free as a Bird stamp set, which is just beautiful. You've got this little row of birds sitting on their branch. You've got a single bird, you've got flowers, blossoms, leaves, some really nice sentiments in there. So a lovely stamp set on its own right. So that is carrying forward to the new catalogue. This is going to be a question of spot what's missing. This is the stitched nested labels dies, and the irony of it being nested labels has only just really dawned on me this morning. Of course they're going to be nested labels, they're part of a bird set. But this is the nested labels. I have all of my beautiful label dies, but you do get a die in there that's just like a strip of stitching. I have no idea where mine went. It just disappeared one day, never to have reappeared. It may still reappear one day because it is a very long, thin die, and it may be that it's got tucked in a book. Okay, Caroline, yeah, hopefully see you back before the end. So that long stitch die has long since flown the nest, as it was. But I used the nested label dies an awful lot. So there's the bird stamp set, the nested labels. There was the gorgeous, gorgeous pack of paper that was just stunning and is just stunning. And as you can see, mine has been well chopped into, and this is, I don't know, my third or fourth pack. Hi, Glenda. So really beautiful papers. The other thing that you got in the entire suite was you got this tin, and inside the tin were these stunningly beautiful laser cut cards that are just gorgeous. So you get the envelopes as well in there. So not only do you get the lovely tin as a keepsake, you get it full of envelopes and cards. So that was part of the bundle. The scalloped lace. This is carrying over. That was part of the bundle, so we're still going to be able to get scalloped lace. And then there were the fabulous little bird trinkets, and these were just beautiful. You've got the little keys, which are fabulous for somebody coming of age or new home. And we've got this little leaf and this flower, just beautiful, beautiful trinkets. And this certainly wasn't my first pot of those either. So, as I say, as I looked this morning here in the UK, the entire suite is still available on the retiring list. So if you need it all, haven't got any of it and you need it all, you can get it all still on that retiring list. And it is just beautiful. You're going to want it all. So I thought, well, let's have a little bit of a play with it all today then while it's still there. As I say, elements are going over, you're going to be able to get the nested label dies, you're going to be able to get the Free as a Bird, you're going to be able to get the lace in the new catalogue. But the papers, you're not. And the tin and the cards, you're not. They're going to go. So let's have a little play. Where shall we start? I've done a couple of bits to get me started. I've taken one of these laser cut cards. They're really pretty. And I've took my snips and I was starting to cut out this centre panel. I've not quite got all the way round. I've got a couple little more snips just to do to cut out this centre sort of lace doily bit. There we go. In fact, it was only literally one more snip. So I will just tidy some of these up a little bit. And there was one little snip, I think possibly the first one that I took, that was a little bit raggedy, but we can cover that. That's what we've got all these other little embellishments and things for, is to enable us to do that. It's got a couple of the little bits not quite popped out. Are you going to pop out? Let me get my pokey. I think that will be better on there. But they're really beautiful cards, and of course you don't have to just use them as they are. They are really nice. You can make a really, really pretty card with not much effort at all, because just a little bit of paper on there. That doesn't want to come out, does it? A little bit of paper on there. Bit of a stamped element, and you've got a bit of ribbon. Perhaps you've got a really pretty card. That is not wanting to come out very easily, but that's okay. That can be another piece that we hide. So we have our sort of little lace doily there that we've cut from the centre, and then we have our card still with the beautiful lace border with a bit of a hole in the middle. So we're going to be able to take that one card and use elements of it to create two. So let me now these are American sized card bases. So they are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But that's not a panic, because you get the envelopes with them. So that's absolutely fine. It's not as if you've got to go out and look for an envelope to fit that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece of cardstock. So it is 4 and I'm just going to come down a 1/16 of an inch, I think, on both sides. So that's 4, 3/16 that way, by 4 and 17/16 that way. A 1/16 of an inch is about is a smidge, I would think. Let's say it is sort of a 10th, isn't it? It's about 1 millimetre, possibly slightly over. Might just need to take a little smidge off that, another little smidge off of that, just so that it fits nicely in that. Although, no, I don't know, that should sit nicely in there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to stick this to the back of this. So let me move this catalogue out of the way. Let us just put some Tombow around this edge of this lacy card. So you don't have to put anything behind these, you could just leave it, but obviously you'd then be able to see this back just here. You could stick the two together and just have the whole thing as a topper on a card, and that would give you that cream background. You could put it onto a bigger card, so like a 5x7 card. You could put vellum behind here, put some of the coloured vellum, if you've got some of that coloured vellum behind there. We could have embossed this card and given it a bit more of a texture. Oh, what have I picked up there? Some ink off of my mat. Now I haven't actually stuck this bit down, but what I was thinking, let me have a look and get the how big is the biggest stitched label? It's going to sit just inside there, I think. I'm going to get a bit of vellum. I'm going to cut a stitched label from vellum. We'll have a look to see what that looks like. Well, obviously we know what the stitched vellum circle is going to look like. We'll see what it looks like on our card. Let's just pop that out. That will sit quite nicely in there. And obviously it doesn't show up very much, but what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to stamp the birds onto it and colour them. Obviously if I stamp directly onto the pool party card, then the colouring will go a bit awry because it's blue card, but we should be able to stamp onto our vellum and colour those in. So what shall we have? Shall we go with a row of the birds? Shall we have one of the birds and build up some blossom and leaves? I think that possibly is more like it. So I'm going to colour in with my blends, so let's grab the Memento ink. Oh, very definitely raining now. That's better. Oh, got a bit of all sorts going on that vellum. Let's stamp a bird just there, like that. And let's take some of those leaves. Just building up a little picture around our little bird. Let's have a couple of blossoms tucking in round there. And perhaps another leaf. Let me just pop him to one side for a minute. And let's wipe this so that we're not picking any more up It's a bit of a clean. Right, so some of the colours that we've got in this paper that goes with this set, there's some old olive, there's some petal pink. Let's have some petal pink. There's a bit of calypso coral going on there. Some daffodil delight. Obviously, we're not necessarily going to have to match these colours up, but let's have a look. Empty meadow. There's a dark old olive. There's a light old olive. Got some petal pink. Got a bit of calypso coral. There's some pool party going on. In that paper. Oh, we might need some crumb cake possibly with our bird. Rustle, excuse me, rustling about in the ivy. Might possibly need some of that. Dark crumb cake. Right, let's have a little look then. Let's colour some birds. Turn this vellum over. I'm going to colour it on the back. Actually, I could have done it in stays on if I'd wanted to be a really darker black, because I'm not colouring it on the same side as I stamped it. But or we could have done it with some black embossing powder. There's something else that's retiring. And I think we've got just one more little leaf in here. Let's colour him in. And then we've got these little blossoms. So I'm going to go in with some calypso coral in the middle, and we'll come in with some dark petal pink. And then we'll bring that all together with some light petal pink. And then the same on the other blossom. Dark. It doesn't look ever so dark on this vellum, but actually once we blend it out and blend some of that calypso coral out as well, that does add a bit to the depth of colour, because it does stay wetter longer on the vellum. Right, let's think about our little bird. Let's give him a calypso coral beak. And I think we're going to give him a bit of a pool party colouring on his breast, just because we can. Let's come in there as well with a little bit of pink. because we can make him what colour we like. Let's bring him some dark crumb cake. Light crumb cake. And a bit of light crumb cake down this bottom as well, just to bring in a bit of brown. And then I think we'll put a bit of colour on the ground. How much that will show up, I'm not sure. So let's have a look. Turn that over. So it is very subtle, very sort of pastel-y soft shading. Hi Angie. Hi Hilary. Just catching up with who's here while I've finished colouring in. So we've just stamped onto that stitched piece of vellum so that we can add that into the middle there. It's really quite pretty. Now we are going to have the dilemma of where do we put our glue so that that doesn't show, or doesn't show too much. So I think we're going to put a little bit in the centre of the flowers, perhaps a little bit under his chin, on his beak. I'm going to put a little bit down here because I think I'm going to add in a little embellishment there. Let's see if that's enough just to hold that down. Because as always with vellum, you can very definitely see where you've put it. We have really gone from being like sort of summertime last week to back almost to winter with wind and rain and really quite chilly. A little lacy bow that's going to cover our dot of glue. It's really pretty, this lace. Morning Francis, lovely for adding in a little bit of vintage. Let's find our glue dots. Now, thinking I might also add in one of those little trinkets. So I'm going to pick that up, a couple of glue dots up on there, I think, because just need to make sure it's well anchored down. Let's tuck that underneath that bow. Need a little greeting on there. about a thanks for being you? So I think we'll get a little off cut of Berry Vanilla. No, that's not Berry Vanilla, that's Shimmery White. Let's take our Memento again. Not ever so straight, but getting there. I'm just going to take my bigger scissors. Oh, keep picking ink up off this ink pad. That's all right, because I think I'm going to trim a little bit off that end, and then we'll trim quite a bit off that end. We'll have that coming in there. I'll just give my fingers a bit of a wipe so I don't transfer any more ink. And we'll put a couple of little dimensionals on there, I think. Well, late breakfast. I've actually eaten breakfast. It's unusual. Quite often I haven't eaten breakfast when I come on here, but I have had breakfast this morning. Perhaps that will help. Perhaps I'll be more coherent. Right, so I'm just going to pop that on there like that. And then I think we'll just add in a few little, needs to be pearls, doesn't it? I might put, and it's coming to smaller, a couple of small pearls in the middle of these flowers. There. So that's just using one of those lacy cards, backing it with some Pool Party, stamping onto a circle of vellum, and we've stitched snitched that's the whole Harry Potter other thing. We've snipped is what I wanted. So snitched is obviously a combination of snipped and stitched, but we have actually snipped the centre out of that card, and we've got that then to use on another project. Where has it gone? Here it is. So it's like a little lacy doily now, but that gave us the space to put our little birds directly in the centre. So there's one little card. Now the other thing that I have done, just clean up these stamps. Let's hang on to that. Just pop these back where I found them so that I can find them again if we want them in a minute. My hair is getting longer and longer and longer. I've tried straightening it this morning, and I don't know whether that's helped or made it worse. It's now flopping in my face. Keep trying to tuck it behind my ears. Never mind. Small problems. As you can see, I've got lots of masks and things in here that I've used on previous occasions. I use this stamp set quite a lot, and we did a really nice box frame with it in the early part of the year that was really pretty, like a sampler box frame. So let's just pop these to one side for a minute. We may come back to those, who knows. But what I have done, and we're going to see where this takes us. Who knows where this is going to take us. But I took some of the papers. Oh, one of those has got wet. In fact, a couple of those have got wet. Let's put the wet ones to one side, and we'll only need them if we want to. That's because I brought my Simply Chamois in from the kitchen, and it's obviously dripped onto those ones. So what I did do was, prior to hitting live, I took some of the papers, and I've actually got 3 pieces of DSP stacked on top of each other, so it didn't take me too long to cut these out, because I was able to cut 3 of these stitch shapes at any one run through of my big shot. So what I was thinking was that we'd do sort of like a quilted effect. Yeah, I'm going to use that piece of paper, because my other thought is that once we've stuck our pieces of paper on and we're happy with the layout, oh my goodness me, that's an enormous crow sitting on the fence. Once we're happy with the layout, we would then cut it out with and stuck it on, we'd cut it out with a stitched rectangle to add to the largest stitched rectangle to add to our quilted effect. So let's have a think. We'll sort of do the laying out, and then see if we need to cut any more papers. It needs to come in there, doesn't it? That one can come in down there. Might need a couple more, we'll see. Stop wiggling around. We'll need to come in up there. We'll want a stripy one in there, and a spotty one in there, flowery one in there, and another flowery one in there, won't we? So let me just cut one more. In actual fact, it won't even need to be a whole one, will it? So if that piece of paper, I think, will cut us which one was it I used? That one, I do believe. Yes. So this is going to not quite cut out a whole one, but I don't quite need a whole one, so that's okay. Perfect. Right, let's do some sticking. If I bring these off to one side like that, and those off to this side like that, glue. Oh, let's bring this up just slightly. Left a bit, right a bit, down a bit. think about fire. We can turn it over and put one of the bird ones in the middle. I could do. And of course I just went with sort of the pinky colours. I could have chosen to go with greens or pool parties. I think there's a couple of sort of, could have gone green and pool party direction. Obviously quite a few of these are going to stick off the end and we're not going to need them all, but that's fine. Let's come in with some of these. And interestingly, I've got the stripes going different ways on some of these papers. I've only just spotted that. Right, I'm just going to trim these side bits off, just so I can put it through the machine without this glue sticking. I could possibly use those bits of paper then for something else, another sort of quilty project. Quite funky. Right, now then, where's that? What have I done with the largest stitched rectangle? Now we're going to sit that on there. And let's run that through. Obviously you could do this sort of idea with any of your papers. If you're using up oddments of paper that you've got left over before you get ready to get your new ones out of the new catalogue. Good way for using up little scrap bits. I've obviously just used 3 colours, 3 patterns here, but you can use as many as you like. You can make a great big scrapbook page. So let's release that. It's quite pretty, isn't it? So now we have, hi Jackie. So now we have a stitched quilted effect. Now then, we need something behind there, definitely. That might look quite nice. So this stitched rectangle is about 9.5 by about 13. So let's make this 10 by 13.5. And that will just give that a little bit of a frame. Let me just score this. This is looking like it is half a piece of A4, yes. Now, what safe place did I put my little doily in? We're going to want that on here, or is that going to be... No, I think I might use that for another little card at some point. I think that will just be almost standing alone. I think what I might do with this one is take, I think, a little piece of Whisper White this time, because it is paper in the background is Whisper White. I'm just going to cut a label out of Whisper White. We'll bring in actually going to stamp him onto a piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to fussy cut him. I've picked up ink again on my fingers. It's because they're gluey and they've picked up some fluff. I'm going to stamp. Can I get that leaf on there? I can. I don't want to waste any card. I'm going to stamp my leaf. On here, and we'll quickly cut that too. Around there. So I don't know how everybody else is doing everywhere around the world. We had a public announcement by our Prime Minister yesterday, but I think, to be honest, nobody's any the nearer as to what that all meant. We're waiting for that to be fleshed out a little bit more today, but I think basically it means not very much difference for this household. Morning, Jeanette. Apart from I can go out and exercise as many times a day as I like. Perhaps I better start exercising. Not going to take up jogging. That holds no appeal whatsoever. And on this cold and blustery morning, I'm not sure that I want a picnic in the park either. But we will see what that all brings. I think one thing for sure, it hasn't made any difference to not being able to hold face-to-face classes for a little while yet. I think they'll still be a little while coming. Right, I'm going to take some old olive. I'm going to stamp some old olive leaves in the background here. So just doing some first and second generation stamping. And let's take our little bird. Actually, what I have got here is I've got my sponge daubers. I've got quite a few inks and things there. Let's have a Calypso Coral, the Petal Pink, take out the Pool Party. I might also reach over for my neutral one and get some crumb cake, get my crumb cake one. Let's sponge this little guy and his leaves and daub some colour on. Regal for old olive I want, don't I? Old olive. Right, so let's take these leaves. Let's just sponge some colour onto them. With my dauber, just going to sponge some colour, and then what I might do is just sponge a little bit of colour over here as well. And then we'll take our little birdie. Let's have some Calypso Coral. And we'll just sponge on some Calypso Coral. I'll give them a bit of a Calypso Coral beak as well. A little bit of Petal Pink. Sponge some of that on. And then oh, I knew that was going to happen. Let's just rest it on the top for now, shall we? And just pick up a bit of crumb cake ink and bring some of that in on the rest of him. Now, I have actually got a Daffodil Delight here. I think actually I might just pick up a blender pen. Where's my blender pen's gone? I I'm staring at them. Let's just flick a bit of Daffodil Delight with a blender pen and just add that in on his beak. There, he's quite cute. He sort of blends quite nicely with those tones on that background. Crush. Get rid of some of that ink. We've got everything all around us everywhere now. Let's try and clear ourselves a little bit of space. Hi Molly. Now I think we're the best of friends for this one. Here amongst friends. We find another little bit of Whisper White. And I think we'll go with Old Olive with that as well. Glue everywhere. Right, I think with this one, I'm going to dig about and find some linen thread. I'm going to double over my linen thread. Got an awful lot of ink on my fingers. And then tie a double bow. Just trim that end. Okay. So let's start sticking. So I'm going to stick our quilted rectangle to our crumb cake base. And then we'll stick all of that directly to our petal pink card base. We'll have our large linen red thread bow coming about there, and we'll pop up this stamped label with some dimensionals. We'll put some more dimensionals behind our little sponged bird. To make him pop up even more. And then these leaves are going to sit nicely across his feet, which we didn't make any attempt to cut out in a big way. So I'm going to put a little bit of a dimensional. Ooh. Snipping our dimensionals here. Now well and truly stuck to my finger and doesn't want to come off onto the leaf. And it's so tiny I can't get my finger on it. Right, you're on there. We'll have one piece on there. And that should nicely cover those feet. He does look like he's sitting in a tree. Rather cute, isn't he? With the trees in the background. I'll have this coming across here. Now, should we give him a little, oh, let's give him a little metallic blossom. In his tree. There he is. So I think, is there anything in the suite that we haven't used? We've used a couple of the trinkets, we've used some lace, we've used one of the cards, we've used the stamp set, we've used the dies. We do just have that little piece of doily. And a card. Let's just quickly see how quick we can make up a. So I'm going to cut this at 9.9 centimeters. I'm going to cut it at 19.8 centimeters, and then I'm going to score it at 9.9. Give ourselves a little square card base. Let's cut this then at 9.5. What was I saying? Train driver's very pleased with himself this morning. Very pretty, isn't it? It almost feels as if that doesn't want too much of anything, really. Getting quite warm now. Oh, that's definitely too big. Oh, sorry, wobbling you. Let's okay, just quickly I'm just desperately trying to use this little round piece, but I want to use him so that he's looking good, not just for the sake of it. So I'm going to take these 2 blossom stamps, and I'm going to take some Pool Party ink, and I'm just going to stamp that in the background there. Let's take the little one. Is there anywhere else that needs filling in? Didn't do a very good job of that one. Okay, so we've got a little background with flowers on, lace on the top, and I think we're just going to take I'll grab the stays on. I think it needs to be black. And what have I just done with hello? There it is. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Yes, it is. I've got hello in the centre of there. So just a simple tone on tone background, a little bit of lace that we cut. And you can see it's laser cut, because if you look on the other side you can almost see they pick up sort of almost scorch marks from the laser, which actually gives it a bit of added interest. Should have perhaps turned it over and used that side. Had a bit of burn mark on it. And to take a glue dot and just anchor that down in the middle. Let's take our little blossom. Let's just add some blossoms to our hello. We'll add that in the middle with a couple of little dimensionals. I'm going to snip this lace down a little bit. Might add in just a few little pearls. So there, that was a quick whiz of a card. So one card makes 2 cards. You can see the stamping in the background there, and our little bird on vellum. And then this is using up your scraps of paper with that lovely stitch label dies and a stitched rectangle to make a quilted effect. So we've definitely used a bit of everything out of that bundle. So as I said, certainly here in the UK, although the Freezer Bird bundle has gone, the entire suite bundle is still available. So it is still possible to get the whole kit and caboodle. So the stamps, the dies, the papers, the lace, the tin of cards, those gorgeous little trinkets. You can get the whole suite, and that is still available on our retiring list. So if you've been inspired and you'd like to add that to your shopping basket, hurry and get it before they've all gone. As I say, the new catalogue, the little bird stamp is carrying over, the nested dies are carrying over, and that lace is carrying over. Everything else is going. So thank you for joining me. Phone's gone all wonky. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll be back in the morning to play with something else.